In the early hours of June 22nd, exactly at 12:47 a.m., air raid sirens echoed across central districts of Tel Aviv. At first, the signals were intermittent, leading many to believe it was a false alarm. But less than 3 minutes later, a deafening explosion shook the high-rise apartment buildings. Windows shattered, dust filled the air, and alarms blared from every direction. Panic-stricken residents fled, many with nothing but themselves and their fear. Tel Aviv hadn't witnessed a night this chaotic in years. In the thick darkness, streaks of red fire tore through Tel Aviv's sky, leaving long curling smoke trails like floating question marks, heavy with doubt about the fragile fate of Israel's most vibrant city. Iron Dome, the symbol of Israel's defensive strength, was utterly powerless against the relentless rain of fire. Commanding officers admitted Iran's 19th missile strike was not only more intense, but also more sophisticated, with the ability to precisely cluster targets unlike any previous assault. Radar systems suffered severe jamming, rendering early detection nearly paralyzed. Several air defense launchers were also knocked out due to energy overloads and cascading technical failures right at the moment Israel needed them most. Around 1/3 of Iran's missiles broke through the defense network, striking locations less than 10 kilometers from the Prime Minister's residence. This was no longer a warning. It was a bold advance on the very heart of Israeli power. Tel Aviv, the most vibrant city in the Middle East, suddenly turned into a stage of chaos, where sirens, explosions, and screaming voices merged into a terrifying symphony at the heart of a modern metropolis. In many residential areas, power was cut, traffic lights went dark, and the streets were swallowed by darkness and chaos. Panicked civilians poured into the streets, some clutching small backpacks, others holding hands as they rushed toward bomb shelters, not knowing what would happen next. Tel Aviv once took pride in its public bomb shelters, but under the current level of destruction, they've become nothing more than paper fortresses, as fragile as shattered trust. Tens of thousands of people crammed into tight, suffocating spaces, where every square meter was packed with bodies and fear. Surgical masks, a few thin blankets, and some dry bread. That was all they had to endure the 3 to 4 hours of hell unfolding above their heads. No one spoke aloud. Only heavy breathing filled the air. Children curled up in their mother's arms. Every minute felt like an hour, and no one knew when it would end. Children trembled in fear, while the elderly fainted from sheer panic. All we could do was hold each other's hands, press our backs against the wall, and wait for the sirens to stop, not knowing how many more missiles would come tonight. It wasn't just Tel Aviv. The strategic port city of Ashdod also took a direct hit. Oil depots went up in flames, sending towering columns of black smoke hundreds of meters into the sky. Cargo ships scrambled to flee out to sea, desperate to avoid being hit or catching fire from the chaos engulfing the port. A critical logistics hub in Israel was temporarily paralyzed, right when the country was in desperate need of emergency supplies. In Beersheba, a university town and tech hub in the heart of the desert, a student dormitory had part of its wall collapse due to the shockwave from a missile strike not far away. Over 200 students were evacuated in a panic during the night. Many had time to grab only their phones and small wallets, leaving behind their books, laptops, and the sense of safety they once took for granted. The northern border with Lebanon also descended into chaos as Iran-backed militant groups unexpectedly surged to the front lines, launching heavy shelling to support the full-scale offensive. Artillery fire echoed from the northern mountains, and black smoke rose from border outposts, clear signs that a second front had officially opened, threatening to trap Israel in a two-front war. Amid nationwide chaos, the Israeli Prime Minister appeared on national television, calling for unity and declaring that any act of aggression would be met with a tenfold response. He immediately ordered a mass mobilization of tens of thousands of additional reservists. A wartime atmosphere now hangs over the nation, and every decision from this point forward carries life or death consequences. But just as he was speaking, a third explosion thundered behind him, turning the speech into an unintended farce. The scene instantly flooded social media, accompanied by sarcastic captions, a bloody reality show, broadcast free for the whole world. Highways leading north were jammed throughout the night. Some desperate families boldly attempted to cross into Jordan to seek refuge, despite lacking visas or proper passports. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Power stations and telecommunications networks have gone down in several areas. Some rescue teams are now relying on walkie-talkies, just like in the Gulf War era. Around the world, major news outlets are running banners that read, "Breaking news, Iran-Israel escalation." The United Nations has issued a statement urging restraint, but no one is sure if that even means anything anymore. Several European countries have issued evacuation orders for their citizens in Tel Aviv. The U.S. Embassy has advised, stay away from military zones. Always keep an evacuation bag and a backup power source ready. While the Iron Dome scrambled to reload, and the Israeli military struggled to patch the gaping holes in their air defense, Iran remained in absolute silence. Only semi-official media outlets spoke up, delivering a chilling message. This is merely a reminder. Invaders will never sleep in peace. Tel Aviv is living through its darkest hours since the founding of the nation. A country once proud to be the fortress of the Middle East now trembles in the night, defending, praying, and waiting for the next air raid siren to sound. What will the counterattack look like? Can the Iron Dome still be the unbreakable shield it once claimed to be? And will millions of families wake up to the light of peace or the next missile's glow? The answer now rests in tonight.